TTK 0.33 is what we're all calling it. DICE have reverted some of the changes they put into place with update 5.2, but have confirmed they do not plan on returning things to normal. Instead, we have to put up with their vision of a pretty decent close quarters TTK, but a pretty terrible mid and long range experience. Anyway, it doesn't matter what you think of it, DICE are the ones in the driving seat, and clearly they're not interested in listening to what we have to say in the current situation. In that case, I'm going to let you know the current best weapons on the game for each class. The game will not be getting updated over the Christmas period as people go on holiday, and that is completely fair. That being said, you do want to have the best loadout, especially to take advantage of any of the Christmas noobs that get the game and jump on. Let's get ourselves some free kills. I've tried my best to include gameplay of the specific weapons in the background, but it wasn't possible for all of them. My game actually runs pretty horribly, and I get weird stutters, making regular play sessions quite difficult. That being said, I have tried my best to get as many as possible, and I am working on a fix for it. Maybe the next update does sort it out. It's something a lot of PC players struggle with. The information in this video is taken from a really comprehensive Reddit post from KHT that was very well received on the Battlefield 5 subreddit. That post can be found in the description down below and is definitely worth a read. As usual, he has crunched some numbers and put together a list of the best weapons for each class, the worst weapons in the game, and then a summary of the patch overall. Let's start out with a class that is a staple of the Battlefield franchise, the Assault class. It's a class that has seen a lot of chopping and changing with this recent update, and in fact, in my opinion, is the worst hit class in terms of a competitive gun balance. You have very few choices, and to be honest, it's just all about the STG-44. So much recoil was removed during this TTK change that the STG is a laser really, and at close range you have a 4 bullet to kill. That is impressive. This weapon feels incredibly easy to use. Even a 3x scope, although I wouldn't really recommend it, has barely any recoil at all at mid-range. You can delete people in CQB, and to be honest, I wouldn't recommend using anything else in that Assault class. The Breader, that one has seen some changes with the most recent TTK tweak. Yes, it is a weapon that you still can't really use in burst, but it is definitely better in single fire than the M1A1 carbine. It has a flat out better damage model now, and I would suggest going for the right side in that specialization tree. Even so, the STG-44 is the weapon I will be using. This is a bit of an issue, as this TTK update was supposed to make more weapons viable. The STG though is by far and away the best. Not currently worth taking, the Stormgewehr 1.5 is just a straight downgrade on the STG. Also the Ryby rolls, this was a weapon that did receive some decent buffs in comparison to other weapons with the first change, but the most recent change has seen the STG get a 4 bullet to kill up close, and the Ryby doesn't have that, meaning why take it? It might be a bit better at range and have a few other options in terms of a bipod, slightly different specialization tree, but overall the STG is just a better weapon across the board. When it comes to the M1907, a weapon DICE completely butchered with their first attempt at ruining the TTK and BF5, things have actually improved a little bit. Whilst it's significantly better than it was, I still wouldn't consider it over the STG because it's only better within 15 meters and has a terrible magazine. It could be something you try out, especially on the maps with close quarters engagements like Operation Underground or Devastation of Rotterdam. Overall though, the STG will just prove to be a far more lucrative weapon. Let's move on to the medic class. Not a lot has changed since my previous video with the best weapons in each class. The Jungle Carbine, M28 and Commando Carbine are probably the best weapons to be using if you're looking for that mid-range experience. It can be good in CQB, but you have to be a decent player because, of course, you can't just spray and pray with these weapons. That being said, at mid-range, these 2-hit body shots, 1-hit headshot, just turn these weapons into absolute beasts. You can endlessly spam med packs, though, in the medic class. That is why this class is so strong. You get shot by somebody, spam med packs all the time, and it gives you an advantage over pretty much any other class. My favourite weapon in the game right now is the EMP. It's still the best all-rounder SMG for me. I use it pretty much every single game, apart from when I'm trying to get footage for videos. The EMP is just the easiest weapon to use. It's really satisfying. It does a lot of damage. You can see the Synthic stats in the background that I've put on for a few of these weapons. It's just so competitive compared to the other SMGs. An SMG I did enjoy using after the 5.2 update was the MAB, though now it really didn't get that love that the other weapons got with a 4 bullet to kill up close. It just doesn't have that ability, which really has placed that one in a bin for me, and I don't use the MAB or the MP34 at all. The Type 100 is a good weapon. It's effectively the same as it was before. You can see the damage drop off on screen now. Could use it. I find it pretty decent. Would I use it over the EMP? No. It's just another option though, if you're looking for something a bit different. All of the SMGs that have a rate of fire over 600, they are pretty much the same as they were before. Within that 10-15 meter range, you're going to blitz people. Outside of it, you're going to struggle. Lots of people will still be using the 50 round Suomi and maybe even the Tommy gun. They're weapons that will definitely excel in certain circumstances, on Operation Underground, on Grind, these game modes where you're always in close quarters. Would I use them over the EMP? No, they don't really work for me. Can you succeed with them and have good games? Yes, you can. Let's move on to the support class. This support class did receive some serious nerfs with the 5.2 update, namely the MG42 and FG42. A little bit has changed since then, but don't bank on those weapons being incredibly good. Best weapon right now for me is probably either the KE7 or the Lewis gun, or the BAR. The KE7 is a high fire rate weapon, and one of the only high fire rate weapons that you can still use. I'm not a massive fan of it. It does work. I've tried using it, and for me, really, the support class isn't about that. If I'm in the support class CQB, I'm using a shotgun. If I'm not, I'm probably using the Lewis gun, but the KE7 is an option. Speaking of the Lewis gun, it has of course massive magazines and can be mag dumped. It's pretty decent across the board, decent accuracy, decent damage, just a good all-round weapon. The MG42 isn't as good as it was before with that glitchy high velocity bullet trick, but it does have its 4 bullet to kill back, which is good if you're running around trying to blast people with hipfire in CQB, or you have found yourself a sneaky position in a bunker and people are running towards you within its effective range. The BAR is the best fast firing LMG, and to be honest, it's a weapon that I've been dying to a lot. I haven't used it, I haven't unlocked it because I haven't been playing the game, but the BAR is something definitely worth taking. I would not recommend picking the FG42 or LS26, as both are flat downgrades on the BAR at every single range, the LS26 being the worst of the two, but don't pick either. Take the BAR and profit. Just a quick one on the Scout class. You have your usual selection of bolt-action rifles to choose from, if that's your thing. For me, really, I don't like using them. I go for the RSC on Model 8. They're the best two medium-range weapons, in my opinion, and if the correct playstyle is implemented, they can both be incredibly effective. Obviously, you can't rush a Suomi with a Model 8. You need to sit back, farm people on the flag, 2-shot body shots, the effective range being on screen now. They're weapons that really don't work at long range and don't work at close range. They're kind of that mid-range, and that is where they will excel, where you're out of the range of other players as well, meaning you can farm up some serious kills. Also making use of the flares and beacons in the recon class. So with this additional update, DICE have once again aimed to create a more interesting set of weapon choices, with every class having a lot of different options. Did they achieve this? In my opinion, they did not. In fact, I'd say there are far less viable options in every single class across the board, and lots of frustrating engagement ranges to maneuver around. Frustrating for existing players, frustrating for new players, and to be honest, not good for the game. Sure, it is still perfectly possible to take an STG and destroy everybody, maybe even getting a better score than you did before the update, as people struggle to work out what has changed in the game. But did it create a better gaming experience? DICE cannot consider this a success. My guess will see further changes to weapon balance, bringing the bullets to kill down at medium and long range, alongside a series of buffs to those weapons that are currently considered useless. We'll end up with something like we had before. CQB time to kill is already pretty similar to what it was before this update. They'll reduce the other two and we'll be back to square one. A completely pointless exercise that has just annoyed a lot of people. The main reason you did see loads of Tommy guns, Suomis and STGs before the update probably wasn't down to the fact that they were the best weapons. In my opinion, the STG was not the best weapon in the assault class since it was nerfed in the beta, so why would people be using it all the time? Is it because they see others using it so they use it themselves? Is it because the STG is a very popular weapon in terms of being an icon? It's a massive weapon in terms of the history of the game. People might enjoy using it for that. To be honest, I'm not really too sure. I can understand the Suomi and Tommy gun 50 round high RPM weapons because they're free kills in CQB. They're not the best weapons in the game, but they are incredibly strong. Fast-firing large magazine meme cannons that are usually ignored by the better players who opt for the weapon that can achieve more if used correctly. Most people I know who are good at the game preferred the ZK383 over the Suomi. It's still fast-firing, but it could achieve more at different ranges, being a better weapon across the board. I don't know, I feel as if DICE have really wasted their time with this update and just annoyed a lot of people, and it will end up getting reverted, as with most things that they do, in some weird attempt to fix something that isn't broken in the first place. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Are these weapons that you're using yourself? If I was to pick one weapon for each class, it would be the STG for the Assault, the EMP for the Medic class, the BAR for the Support class, and then probably the Model 8 for the Scout class. Is that something you agree with? Do you use something different? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.